Welcome to Founders of Nations. Conversations with Peruvians. Hi, everybody. This is Matthew Grace from the Founders of Nations podcast, and I'm doing my Conversations with Peruvians. And today we're going to be talking to Sebastian and possibly his friends. So we'll see what happens. Sebastian, welcome in.
Hey, thank you for having me here. Even though I'm not an expert, I'd like to still give my opinions.
Yeah, no, that's
on
great.
These topics.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Great. So you want to tell us a little about yourself? Where are you from? What do you do for a living? That kind of stuff?
Sure. Right. So my name is Sebastian Blanco. I'm from Lima, Peru. I work as a video game developer.
Oh, nice.
I've been working since 2015, more or less, which is the year I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm trying to explore a different path from what I've been doing normally, which is 3D art. I'm getting into 3D art right now.
Okay.
So it's not my specialty, but I'm trying to learn how to make characters in 3D.
Nice.
That's what I'm doing right now at this moment.
Gotcha. And is that something that your company's paying for, or are you having to do that kind of on your own?
No, I'm independent. I've been independent
nice.
from some years working in the internet.
Okay. So are there any games that so you just developed them by yourself, or you kind of are freelance that you help out with different games?
My favorite projects are the one that I've been doing by myself. So I have a couple.
Okay.
That I can link you later.
Yeah. What's the name of your favorite one?
But yeah, those are my favorite things. The ones I'm doing by my own.
So which one is your favorite game that you've made?
I think my favorite game is the one that is the least popular one. It's like a mystery game where you drive a vehicle in a lagoon, and you are like exploring some weird places. I don't know how to describe it because I would need to use like specialized, I guess, words. For example, this game is a walking simulator. That's the genre of game that it is. You just basically walk and have basic interactions with things and try to discover some story.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's like a cryptic, mysterious game.
I'm thinking about a game like have you ever played Almost Dead?
Oh no, I think I haven't.
It's like you crash in Antarctica at a base, and you're just supposed to walk. It's a walking simulator. You're walking around trying to escape, trying to find clues and different ways to escape. So it sounds similar to that.
Okay, I'm just seeing this game. I wasn't familiar with that one, but yeah, it looks cool.
Looks somewhat familiar, not really.
This one I didn't know.
Okay. Well, good. You got a new one. I guess the original was Myst, right? Did you ever play Myst?
Yeah. No, I didn't play it, but I know that game because that game is like very famous.
Yeah.
It's a very famous game in the history of games. Yeah, I know about that one. I've played one that is similar to that one, which is more modern, called The Witness.
Okay.
And yeah, it's still a different type of game than my own. My own is a very simple game, very, very, very simple game.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's also a bit similar in a way. Yeah.
Good. Nice. Okay. So you've been doing that since 2015. And so you just
that's when I graduated.
Okay. Gotcha. Great. So are your friends also in the same business, or are they just friends from college, or the ones that may be on today or maybe not?
I know some people from the business, but I would say that my closest friends aren't necessarily from game development. My closest friends are actually from high school. I still keep in touch with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And in the business, I've known some people. I have some good friends. Yeah. But right now, I'm a little bit I'm in the process of maybe you could say this, migrating from one industry to another, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Right? From game development. Right now, I'm trying to separate myself from game development and going more into art.
Gotcha.
Maybe you can say it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nice. So what kind of art are you looking to do? I know you said 3D art, but is it for something specific or just characters? Okay.
Yeah, character art is the name of the specialty. Yeah. Just making characters like human forms.
Great. Nice. All right. So we'll get into the meat here of the interview. So when you think of the word founder of Peru, do you think about a specific person, or are there many people, or is there not really a person, or how do you take that word, the founder?
Yeah. So the first thing I think when you say founder, it's not one person, but like a succession of people, because maybe this is true for many other countries, if not all the countries, but at least in Peru we have many different, how can we say this, like epochs. Okay, so I guess we could start by talking about the Inca people, which is the biggest empire here before the Spanish came. But we could even go way before that. So there's a founder for the Inca people. There's also a founder for the colony period of Peru, which might be Francisco Pizarro, the main conquistador coming here. And there's also a republic era for Peru. Gotcha. So there are three characters maybe, because the first one is actually two. So for the Inca people, there's two founders. But the thing with this is that this is a legend. So it's not 100% certain that it actually happened, it's a couple of two people, one being Manco Capac and Mama Ocleo. It's like a man and his partner, his wife, I guess. I'm not super sure about that. But the legend says that these two people founded Cusco, which is the capital city of the Inca people.
Okay.
Right. So there are two founders for that period. Next is Francisco Pizarro, which we could say is the founder for the colonial era of Peru.
Okay.
And lastly, for the Republic era, there's also probably two people, which are Don José San Martín, which is an Argentinian general, I guess, and Simón Bolívar, which is a Venezuelan also general, I think.
Yeah, the two big ones.
Yeah. So we have many different founders, because I don't think it would be accurate to the reality, maybe, of our country to say we have only one founder. Yeah. I'm sure there's one that people like the most. I think those could be the Inca ones, because people normally are more fond of the Inca period of Peru, more than any other period. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm looking for, is what people think. That's more important than anything.
That's what it feels like. People like more the Inca period.
Do you think that maybe has to do with kind of because it's so far away that it's not really a political thing? It seems like nowadays there's a lot of left and right, and if we can find someone to agree on before that, then we like them the best.
In part, maybe. In part, there are many factors in this. In my opinion, it would be that it's so far in the past that we cannot really have a clear image of what that period was like. Yeah. So we do not have the bad the bad impressions of that period. We only have the good impressions. So it is a period that is very, very romanticized by people. And we really do not have an objective overall look of what that period was really like.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, if it's political or not, I really wouldn't know. I really wouldn't know, because I'm not too much of a political person myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you find that, in America right now, politics has just become very insane? There's like a bunch of people over here on the far, far left, and then there's a bunch of people over here on the far, far right. and they're all yelling at each other very loudly. And then there's some people in the middle.
Right?
Is that similar in Peru, or is it not quite like that in Peru?
It's starting to feel like that now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know of this, but we've had a very recent political crisis here. Okay. Our president got ousted by Congress.
Okay.
And just with this incident, there's been going a lot of discussion, but among the people themselves, like in gotcha. Social media, I'm starting to see lots of people taking sides, left or right, and starting to argue with one another. That is something that I didn't really see, other than on some occasions and specific people, maybe on Twitter or I don't know. But right now, I'm starting to see basically everyone I know of starting to really talk more deeply about these topics. Gotcha. So it might be possible that at this time we might be starting to accentuate these differences between left and right. Of course, my opinion, which I mentioned that I'm not a political person myself, so this is just what I'm seeing, right?
I got you. No worries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what we're looking at. Okay, good. So then, if I was to ask you about who do you look at most fondly as the founder of Peru, out of these options, who do you think you would go for? Would it also be the Incans, or would it be someone else?
That's an interesting question, because that's something I didn't thought of. Who do I like the most? I don't know, because I usually, like myself, I try to be an objective person. So I try to maybe disregard like my feelings for some of these things, and I don't pay them much attention. So I know that the Inca period was very interesting, was like our most, I don't know, unique representative period in our history. And that fact makes you like it. For some reason. It as a Peruvian, it makes you like it. Like you feel like this was the time we were, I don't know, ourselves really, instead of being one more country in the world. I don't know. It's like the uniqueness of the period is very appealing. Maybe that would be my answer.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So are there like some really famous stories about that period of time, the Incans, that you find are really, just to give you an example, like with Albania, there's a guy named Skanderbeg, who is like their military founder. He was very famous for fighting the Ottoman Empire in the 1400s, and he kept Albania like independent against this huge empire for 25 years. And nowadays, parents tell their children these stories like, oh, he could fly and he once killed 2,500 men with one swipe of his sword. Are there any, I guess there are many stories like that, maybe about the Incans from what you said. So can you tell me any that are really memorable for you, that you think are really interesting?
There are many legends from the Inca period. Legends that the Inca people told themselves about their origins. So there are many fantastic characters. But I think a story that is very similar to what you just said is one after the Inca period, but it's about the Inca people.
Okay.
So it's this guy called Tupac Amaru, which is a revolutionary figure of the colonial time.
Okay.
He was a leader, an indigenous leader that fought against the Spanish rule, fought for his people. I don't know exactly the context of this, like exactly what was he fighting specifically for, what were his goals, I'm not sure, but the name Tupac Amaru, he might be one of the most biggest historic characters in Peru.
Okay.
Just because he was fighting for the native people, which is like a sentiment that really, I think most Peruvians like fighting for the natives, because the natives historically are very oppressed and have received like countless injustices. So just for that fact, it's like we all automatically like Tupac Amaru. So this guy, I don't remember exactly most of the things he did, but the thing that we all remember very well is how he was killed. He was executed by the Spanish government, I guess you could say. It was very barbaric. He was like tied to 4 horses, and the 4 horses started to run, and the guy just died from that. Like it was like a medieval form of execution. So it was very tragic. He had a very tragic end, and that also helps to fit this almost fantastic idea we have of him. Like he's just not a leader of a revolution. Since he died in this spectacular and horrible way, it's like he suddenly turns into almost like a legend.
Gotcha.
Right. So
yes,
I think that would be the one of the biggest stories, because there are also many legends, but we're almost sure those didn't happen because they're basically magical.
Yeah.
So this character might be that one of the biggest stories related to the origins maybe of our country.
Gotcha. And that sounds similar to what I heard from some other Peruvians, not necessarily that character, but that there are all these people who died for their country, very famous. I think I heard about Miguel Grau, I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, Miguel Grau. Yeah, no, he's definitely the biggest national hero. Yeah, but that's a more later period. Almost no. It was the Republic period of Peru.
Gotcha. Yeah, but it's the same kind of idea of someone way dying for this idea of Peru. Gotcha. Okay, good. So you say you weren't really sure much about him other than that was the way he died. Were there any specific kind of parts of Incan society or Incan people that you think really affect the way Peru is today? Or do you think it's pretty much all European style from the Spanish?
So it's not easy to know as a regular person, because most of us are aware that we have influence from the native cultures here in our modern culture. Things in the food, I mean the food culture and the gastronomy of our culture. We have influence in the food. We have influence in the way we speak, because some of our slang words are native in origin.
Okay.
But I think I remember like some other examples of native influence in our modern culture, but I don't remember them. I just remember the fact that we have influences.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So they are for us so common that we don't really think much about it.
Yeah.
Specifically for the Incans, I really don't know. And that's because the Incas were just the biggest empire, but they weren't really the only people, right? The only culture.
Yes.
They were the biggest one, and they took over many cultures. But still, there were so many other cultures and peoples in other places of Peru
Gotcha.
That have maintained their cultures. So we have influence from some of those peoples that are not the Incas.
Gotcha. Okay.
For instance, in the jungle regions of Peru, the native cultures, I think, as a person living in Lima that knows very little about the rest of the country, really, I can tell you that many of the cultures of the jungle area seem to be like less influenced by the conquista in general, the colonial era. Because, for instance, in the highlands of Peru, in the Andes, or Sierra as we call it, the religion of the people is Christianism or Catholicism. Meanwhile, in the jungle, the religion of the people is sometimes Catholicism, but also you can see groups of people that maintain their previous beliefs. And so when you go to the jungle and you go to the big cities of the jungle that are supposedly more Western, like to a degree, are like Western-sized, or I don't know, Europeanized places, like between quotations, and you can see a big influence of those native peoples in the way people are and in the cities. Like, you cannot see that level of influence, I think, in Lima, but it's in some other cities in the interior of the country. You can see that. You can see way more of that than here in Lima.
Okay.
So we have influence from those people here. I couldn't tell you exactly how much because I am not aware of it. But in the interior of the country, there is way more influence.
Gotcha. Good. All right. So when you think about, the founding of your country, what comes to your mind in terms of, do you think of it as like kind of this tragic story over and over again of these heroes dying for Peru, or do you think about, how do you think about those things?
It's definitely like it has its quote of tragedy. Since the Conquista, like, I think the consensus is that 90% of people died, but I'm not really sure, but that's what I've read. That 90% of people died because of smallpox way before the Spaniards themselves arrived at the Inca territory. So just starting from that, like it's I think it's objectively a huge tragedy.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, there were many abuses committed by the Spaniards for the natives. So it's when one studies the history of Peru as a Peruvian, you tend to feel sad. Really, you tend to feel like, I don't know, like some sort of frustration and some sort of conflict because most of us are mixed Spanish and natives. So it's not easy, like choosing a side in that, right? It's just like a story that makes you, like, I don't know, to a degree confused in some way. So yeah, there's some tragedy in the origin of the country. There's also some episodes of heroism, right? As you mentioned before, characters like Miguel Grau and other war heroes, right? So there are heroism, there's tragedy, but maybe, and this is, I don't know, like almost a guess, I would say that we might perceive the founding of our country in a maybe in a more tragic context. Yeah, maybe that's true.
Gotcha.
Feels like it might be.
Gotcha. All right, and I just realized that I because I didn't actually end this meeting, it's still doing my timer. I don't know if you can see it up there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm seeing.
Yeah,
it's fine.
All right. So then our next question along those lines of thinking about that, do you think those founding tragedies and those kind of things, do you think those have really influenced the culture, those people? Or do you think the culture now is more kind of changing those stories and highlighting the ones that fit the culture nowadays? I know that's a difficult question, but.
Yeah, I can tell you just from my experience that it is true that there is some sort of resentment towards that period, towards the conquest. Yeah, and there's also resentment, like very strongly, for the war with Chile. But I don't think I could say that has much to do with the founding of the country. But for the conquest, yeah, like it's not necessarily a really common sentiment. Like if you ask, I don't know, like people in the street randomly, I don't think the majority of people will still have some sort of resentment, but still you can see sometimes people feeling that way. I don't know, like if it's, I don't know how big of a percentage, right, of the population really feels that way, but it's kind of there. You can sometimes get a feel for that. There is some sort of resentment. Maybe it's justified. I don't know. but yeah, you can get a feel for that. I couldn't tell you in what degree. Maybe amongst, I don't know. No, you know what? I have no idea. I was about to say that maybe among young people, maybe educated people, there's really not much of that, but I really wouldn't be so sure, to be honest.
Gotcha.
There's some of that. There's some of that, all right. I just don't know how much, but there it exists.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, great. So can you think of anything else about the founders or the founding of Peru that's kind of a notable story that you think people need to know about, or you want people to know about Peru?
You mean as in non-Peruvians?
Yes.
Well, maybe just like there's one thing. It's like a petty thing, really, more than anything. But I think most people that know a little about the conquest of Peru are aware that really it wasn't completely about the technological superiority of the Spaniards that drove the conquest. It was the disease factor, I think, more than anything, because if 90% of people or a majority of people like suddenly die, it's going to destabilize completely whatever empire that was in place. So that played a huge factor that I always see like in comments, like on YouTube or whatever, really in Reddit. I always see people really not aware of that. So but it's more like a petty thing, right? Because to me, honestly, as sad and as tragic as it is, it's just in the past. And if I had to give a message to whatever Peruvian might be watching this, I don't think many Peruvians will watch something in English. But if I had to hit my message, it would be that we have to keep looking forward. We can't. I mean, it's good to know of our history, to know of our mistakes, and try to not repeat them. Right, learn from the past. But I don't think that still harboring like strong feelings about things that happened hundreds of years in the past is super healthy. I think it's not very constructive to let yourself be overtaken by your emotions in things like this. But yeah, those are my messages, I think.
Good. And are there any people that you want to give shout outs to or say hey to?
Yes, of course. That would be my high school friends, which are my closest friends right now. So yeah, hey, Mauricio, Chusfral, Yuri, Natalie, Majandra. Quiero mucho, muchachos. Buena. Okay. Yeah.
Those are your high school friends, huh?
Yeah. They are my closest friends right now.
Great. Yeah. I guess they will definitely watch this, and maybe they will tell their friends.
Definitely.
It will spread all over Peru, right?
Of course, and they will leave many likes on your video.
Yes.
Can I plug my social media?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the games
just my Instagram page. I have an Instagram page where I post my characters, my 3D art, which is Amarillo Arts.
Amarillo
that's written like Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
But it means yellow in Spanish, so it's Amarillo Arts on Instagram.
Maybe if you can send me a link on Reddit, I'll put it on there for you. Definitely.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and so you said that the games you talked about, you can definitely kind of are they all the same kind of game with the kind of a walking simulator type games, or are they all pretty different?
I have 2 walking simulators. I have a VR game also. What else do I have? It's like I have many different projects scattered among many different places, many different accounts, so I don't remember all of them. But my main ones are these I'm talking about. I have 2 walking simulators, one for PC and one for Android, and I have a VR game.
Oh, nice.
And I don't remember right now what else do I have, but I have some things.
Good. Yeah, well, yeah, just send me the link to your to your Instagram or whatever, and I'll definitely put it up there for us. And then whenever my podcast hits it big, and I'm getting millions of viewers every week, then you'll have millions of viewers.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Here, let me.
I appreciate the chance to plug my stuff and to speak about my country.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'm excited to be able to look it up. This interview has been a part of the Conversations series on the Founders of Nations podcast, a podcast where we seek to learn about the nations of the world by studying the lives of their founders. You can find us on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, TikTok, wherever you like, or you can go to our website, www.lang4life.com/founders.